All right, this video is going to be about when to hire a marketing agency and what you can expect from hiring a marketing agency. So if you're an estate planner, a financial advisor, or a tax planner that is thinking about hiring an agency and you're asking yourself, when should I hire an agency? Is this even worth it? And what will a good agency actually provide for me? Then this video is absolutely for you. This is actually also for everybody else, right? Like, so if you're any type of business owner and you're asking yourself that question, you can watch this video as well. So full disclaimer, I do run a marketing agency, right? We help financial advisors, estate planners, and tax planners who already have a working business amplify the results and add a minimum of $50,000 to their monthly revenue. So let's dive straight in. Like, when should you hire a marketing agency? Like, let's answer that question at the beginning. I think a lot of people actually do hire a marketing agency prematurely and also don't really know what they should be looking at and thinking about, right? So if you already have a proven offer, that's super important, right? You need to have already figured out what you want to do, what you want to sell, and who you want to target, right? That means you're selling, I want to say like $50,000 a month or more in that product consistently. And I will add probably, you know who your customer is. That's also super important, right? You need to know who you're targeting and what you are consistently selling them, right? And an offer is not necessarily a product, right? An offer is just a value proposition. We've gone over this in another video. I will link the video on top, but it's very important to dial in who is your ideal customer and what is your ideal offer for that customer. And I want to say, like, if you're below $50,000 a month, you're just going to have a tough time really I want to say profiting from what an agency can deliver, right? Now, ideally, you already have some type of experience in terms of online advertising or at least online lead generation, right? So that means, maybe manual outreach, or you have the right expectation that this is going to be different, right? Like, this is going to be different than referrals. It's not the same game, right? Like, referrals are pre-sold, they're in your network, it's super easy, they know you. This is going to be about generating cold and leads and warming them up, right? That's going to be a different process, right? And also you want to have a dedicated budget set aside that you are, in the worst case, willing to lose. What do I mean by that, right? Of course, you want to get a return on your investment, but at the end of the day, advertising is never 100% guaranteed, right? Like, you have to be willing to invest and take the risk, because at the end of the day, business owners, we are risk takers, right? Some of us take more risks, some of us take less risks. You have to think somebody like Elon Musk, I think like he got almost gone broke, like, I don't know, 15 times or so. So he's taking massive risks with massive amount of money. So I would say have a dedicated budget set aside. That is ideally $10,000, right? So that means paying the agency and paying for the advertising spend, $10,000 or more, right? And I mean, if you're making 50 grand, that should be very easy. That you're willing to lose, right? That you're willing to invest in that agency, and obviously you want to make an educated choice. But at the worst case, you're not going to go bankrupt if you lose that money, right? That's super important, because I see a lot of people going into this being like, okay, well, this has to work. These are my last $5,000. That's not going to be a good position to be in, right? You want to have the luxury of not 100% needing this to work, right? And then it will, I don't know why, but normally then it works. But if somebody's super needy and needs to make every dollar count, that's just a bad place to be, right? Like, you're better off watching a couple YouTube videos, watching videos like this one, actually learning how to set up ads, how to run ads, and then making them work for yourself. Who should not hire a marketing agency on the other side, right? This is huge. If you have not figured out who your ideal customer is that you serve, and if you don't have the offer in place, right? That you're not selling, you're selling everything to everyone. You're kind of testing your offer, you're testing your products. This is not the point to hire a marketing agency, because, I mean, you can still hire a marketing agency, but it's going to be the same testing process with them. They will not tell you who your ideal customer is going to be. They will not tell you what your ideal product is, right? They will only be able to amplify what's already there. And if nothing is there, there's nothing to amplify. So you will go through the same testing process, just paying somebody else as well, right? And that leads into the same second point. If you don't have the right expectations, that things are going to be different from referrals, right? Like it's going to be a different process. And also if you don't have a dedicated budget that you're willing to lose, right? And just to just to reiterate, in essence, a marketing agency is only there to amplify, right? Like let me stretch that, to amplify what is already working. If nothing is working, nothing can be amplified, right? If nothing is working for you yet, your best bet is to probably try it alone or with a freelancer, right? Learn a little bit of Facebook. I think at the end of the day, people should learn how to advertise anyway, right? Like you as a business, you need to understand the processes that are there, right? You don't need to be a master at it, but you need to understand them. Alternatively, you can work with an agency, but you also have to have the right mindset. You are still in a test mode. If you haven't cracked the nut yet, if you don't really know what's working, if you're not making, at least $30,000, but preferably $50,000 a month, you have not figured out yet what is kind of working right now. What's your sales process? What's your ideal customer and everything else, right? That means you are in test mode, and the test mode still can fail. Just keep this in mind, right? Like this, at the end of the day, the choice is yours, but you have to keep this in mind. If you have a working process with a product that you're selling multiple times, even without an agency, and a sales team that knows how to sell, then working with an agency will massively amplify your results, right? I mean, you can build an in-house team as well, but I think agencies are a great way to amplify, right? It's fuel on the fire. It's kind of like 10xing your products because we are at the forefront of what's working. But, if you don't have anything working yet, well, there's just nothing. We're just going to go through the same tests that you are going through, right? So that's the idea. Now, what can you expect from a good agency? That's a big question as well. I think, and that's my personal opinion, the main job of an agency is getting your pre-qualified and pre-framed leads at a price that makes sense for you, right? Like this is the main underlying thing, right? Like it's not about customers. Yes, you want to have customers, but to have customers, you need a sales process. You need a sales team. The job of the marketing agency is getting your pre-qualified and pre-framed leads. Now, what do I mean by that? That means that the leads have been checked for financial qualifications, right? So they actually are able to afford your product. They are interested. And the time frame to move forward with your product is now, right? Or at least in the next couple of weeks. That's a pre-qualified lead for me, right? Like, and if a marketing agency is not delivering those three critical components, I think they're not doing the greatest job, right? So ideally, you want to have a pre-qualified lead, somebody who has the money to invest, is highly interested in your product, and also wants to move forward in the next couple of weeks. Now, pre-qualified, we have covered. What is pre-framed, right? I think that's something that's missing right now, and that's why a lot of people are failing with advertising. Pre-framed means that they have been fed enough content from you and enough exposure to your brand for people to know why you are different and better than your competition, what your values are and how you operate, right? Like you need to differentiate yourself and you need to pre-frame the leads the same way you're watching this video. This is kind of like the pre-frame of, hey, what do you actually need to be at to work with a marketing agency? That's a pre-frame of your condition, right? Like if for somebody that's already making that kind of money, they're going to be like, oh, great, this is what I can expect. This is kind of like where it's going. And somebody who's not making enough money or hasn't figured it out is going to watch this video and be like, maybe this isn't for me right now. So this is a pre-frame, right? In 2025 and beyond, content is super important. Exposure to a brand is super important. There's been a Google study, right? The 7-11-4 rule. So that means people need to spend an average of 7+ hours with your brand before they make a buying decision. So the research was they need to spend on average, right? People spend 7 hours engaging with your brand, 11 different touch points and 4 different platforms, right? So this is why we do advertising, emails, content, and manual sales outreach, right? Like that we actually provide SOPs and frameworks for because you need to hit people multiple times. Gone are the days where people are just going to come in, sign up with their credit cards. I have sometimes, like I've chased a client for, I think, half a year or so recently. And I mean, they were interested, right? But they were just kind of like, was something coming up. You need to put multiple touch points on people. You need to provide value. You need to send them more content. You need to create more content, right? Now, this is kind of like, I think, where the marketing agency also needs to help you get that exposure, right? Get that pre-frame. So this is the main goal of a marketing agency. Like, don't expect, like, I mean, there's other things that we go through that are bonuses, but if this is fulfilled, I think, in my opinion, the marketing agency fulfills their job. If this is not fulfilled, right, you're not getting any leads, then their job is not fulfilled, right? Or the leads are not pre-qualified, right? Like if you get leads, but you know your product is like $5,000 for a financial plan, but leads have like, you know, $100 to spend, that's not a good lead. If the lead doesn't know what you're doing, that's not a good lead, right? So that's the main promise: pre-qualified and pre-framed leads. Now, some other things to consider, and I've been sometimes guilty of not fulfilling, especially on the reporting side, but I do think the goal of the agency is to also make the process easy, right? So that means scripting and producing ads and videos, helping you create content, helping you create lead magnets to attract buyers, setting up automation infrastructure for follow-up, etc., for those multiple touch points, giving you SOPs, helping you, basically giving you a report, being available for questions and feedback, giving you help in other departments, for example, sales, and working with your sales team. Those are all things to consider, although I do think still the main goal of a marketing agency is the pre-qualified and pre-framed leads, right? Now, some bad practices that I've seen. So the obviously biggest and most problematic point, I feel, is not delivering on providing pre-qualified and pre-framed leads, right? Like if you don't deliver on that as a marketing agency, shame on you. But, you know, as long as you do that, I think the basic promise of the marketing agency is fulfilled, because this is what they can control. They cannot control if the business owner is unable to sell those leads, right? Like I've worked with some business owners, they don't want to do follow-up, they don't want to call people, they feel they're too good for that, right? I mean, at the end of the day, there's only so much we can do in terms of the marketing side. This is then the sales side, and this needs to be addressed as well, right? This is the main value proposition of a marketing agency. If I think failing to deliver on that is a failure to be a good marketing agency. Other point can be negatives, but as long as you fulfill this promise, I feel the marketing agency is fulfilling its main purpose. Now, if you have a marketing agency that is not getting you pre-qualified and pre-framed leads, please, and you want to get better results, feel free to click the link below and reach out to us. And if you know you have a marketing agency that might be wanting to do a better job, feel free to send them this video. Now, obviously, we help with all of these things here as well, right? Like we do a lot of, you know, additional help on top of providing the leads, right? Because I do think like success is not just about leads. But yeah, this is also, now you know if you should hire a marketing agency, what you can expect and how the whole process is. If you like content like that, please feel free to subscribe, and we'll see each other in the next video.